Hi, welcome everyone. Well, not welcome everyone. There's no one here, so I'm gonna wait a little bit. I am not much of a waiter, and I am usually not on Instagram Live. So I tried something different and decided to show up today while people were awake. Hi, Roxy. Oh, you big mama now. Love the pictures of Dylan, my sweets. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer and see who shows up. Today we're talking about morning routines and how you can design your own without being a morning person. Because that is the one thing that I get a lot is that, oh Annie, you're okay because you can wake up in the morning and be ready to go. You're a morning person. Well, let me tell you that since I moved here, I am not a morning person, especially because now I have winters and my body clock usually works with the sun. So since there's less sun, there's less of me being a normal human. So I've had to adapt a lot. And I've had to tweak a lot of what my morning routine looks like, but it's still very consistent, and that is what I want to show you today, how to work on a consistency on your morning routine, but most importantly, things that you don't want to miss out. So there's 4 major things that have to be in your morning routine, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. What are the 4 major things that you need to have in your morning routine, regardless of whether you have an hour, 2 hours, 5 minutes in your morning. So you know what, there might be people diving in and joining in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start talking because that's it. Okay, so why do I talk about morning routines? Because I think that whatever it is that you do in the morning, whatever attitude you take in the morning, is what's gonna set the tone of your whole day. So tell me if you believe this or not, or tell me if you've noticed that sometimes in the morning when you're in a hurry, when you don't get the things that you want to get done, then you feel like the whole day went down the drain. That's how it feels for me. When I don't get the things that I know that I need to do in the morning done, then everything goes down the shithole for me. And it's really hard to get back out of that grind. So I make sure that my morning routine, whether I have 5 minutes or I have 2 hours to complete it, gets done every morning so that I can start my day with the right energy. So like I was saying a little earlier, there are 4 important components to having a morning routine, and not to having it, to make it what that's rounded, well-rounded morning routine. So those components stem for the whole concept of the human being kind of like a four-legged table. So those 4 components, each ones are one of the legs of the table. So you want to make sure that you take care of each one of those legs, because if not, the table is going to fall down and you're going to start screaming at people and you're going to cry during the day. Or I'm sorry, maybe that's just me. But for me, it's important that you make sure that this concept lands. You are a 4-legged table as a human being, and there's 4 legs that you need to take care of. So the first leg that you want to be mindful of is the emotional leg of your life. So emotional intelligence is something that is very buzzwordy lately, but it is important that you see how big of an impact it has in your life. Your emotions direct your actions. The things that you feel every day direct the actions that you take every day. Hi, Glo. And it is important that you make sure that your emotions are in check when you get out of bed or right after you get out of bed. So that is the first thing that you want to keep in mind when it comes to creating a successful morning routine. The emotional intelligence, the things that drive you, your emotions direct your actions. So the second leg of the table that is you is the intellectual leg. The intellectual leg is the one that allows you to expand your thoughts, that allows you to grow every day. So you want to make sure that in your day, especially in your morning, you make time for intellectual growth. And I'm going to go in depth and I'm going to walk you through my personal routine and show you how you can tweak this to yourself. So bear with me just a little. Hi, Peke. So when it comes to the intellectual component, you want to make sure that there's something that's really making your brain move in the morning, making your mind expand, okay? So let's move into the third leg of your table for the morning routine. The third leg is your spiritual leg. So mind you, I am not saying these things in order. There is no particular order, but all of them are important and none of them can be really neglected. Okay, so the spiritual component, the spiritual leg of your mornings can look like whatever you want. It's that trust that you create, that bond, that faith that you have, and it doesn't have to be religious faith. That's a disclaimer, that you strengthen in the mornings to allow you to walk through your days, okay? And last but not least is the one that most people have a really hard time with, or they are flying in excellence in this one and really, hi Javi, and really struggling with or really excelling at is the physical components of your morning, okay? Your mornings you need to make sure that you're creating movement in your morning. Why? Because this thing right here is your biggest and strongest tool to get through your day. When you're feeling sluggish, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling like you're dragging, that's when things start to go down. So you really want to make sure that you take care of your body, and I'm gonna talk to you about some of the things that you can do to really do that. And what I do, sometimes I don't go to the gym every morning, I don't work out every single morning, but I make sure that my body is taken care of. So those are the 4 components that you need to keep in mind when it comes to creating a morning routine: your emotional health, your physical health, your spiritual health, and your intellectual health, okay? So all 4 of them are important, and as much as you want to cultivate them on your day-to-day basis, you also want to cultivate them on a morning-to-morning basis. So these are things that you want to keep an eye out at the rest of your day, but especially in the morning because it sets the tone to your day, okay? So let's dive in. I'm gonna share with you what I do and how you can do it in whatever time you have so that you can start creating a morning routine that works for you. So for me, the first and most important thing that I take care of is the spiritual aspect of my day. The reason why I do that is because I wake up before my husband and I like having that peace to dive into my spiritual practice. So what does my spiritual practice look like? I meditate, I pray. I have a daily reader that I go into before my meditations, and I also do this breathing practice of connection that culminates with my deck of cards. So this deck is super cool. Is the universe has your back, and this is pretty much what my morning looks like. I get up, I brush my teeth, I set the kettle, and then I wait for the kettle to be done. So that's where I warm my water for my tea. And once the kettle goes off, I turn it off, let the water cool down a little, and then I sit down and I meditate. Now, meditation doesn't have to be 45 minutes of your day. Meditation doesn't even have to be 5 minutes of your day. Meditation is just sitting in stillness. It's not turning off your brain. It's just being in peace for a minute. So what do I do with this? There is this app that you can ask me. I'm gonna put a post out with all of the recommendations, with the steps that I take. There's this app that I use that's called Insight app, and it allows me to time my meditation. So it has meditations from an hour to 2 minutes. It has free-form meditations, and it has guided meditation. Depending on the time that I have during the day, I can go either for a minute to 15 minutes. The important thing is that I do it, okay? And when I come out of that meditation, then I pray. My prayer is to God. That's the higher power of my understanding. And you can maybe not even pray. I believe that the most important prayer that you can say in your life is thank you. So if only when you get out of whatever spiritual practice you have, you say thank you, or maybe that in itself can be your spiritual practice, you're already winning in the day. When you're able to feel and show gratitude for your day, that is a spiritual practice in itself. Okay, so I've already walked you through. You can go for 20 minutes on the spiritual realm, or you can go for 2 minutes on the spiritual realm. Whatever it is that you have available, because maybe you like to sleep until 30 minutes before you have to go to work. That's what my husband does. And he just gets up and gets all of the things going. I don't know how he does it, but he does it. In less than 20 minutes, he's done with his morning routine and he's ready to go to work, which is impressive. So he's part of the motivation that got me to do this. So his spiritual practice is just kneeling down and praying, and he does that every day. Now, what I do with the cards is that after I come out from my meditation, and after I pray and say thank you, I just pick one card and let that card talk to me. Okay, so whatever it is, I just carry it through my day. This one says, in any moment I can surrender to the powerful presence of love throughout prayer, contemplation, and stillness. So I make sure that I read the message and I stay with the message for at least a minute, and I see how it applies to my day. So that is very simple. Your spiritual practice doesn't have to be anything beyond 2, 3, 5 minutes, and you're good to go there. Okay, so after I'm done with my spiritual practice, I get on into the lengthier part of my morning routine, which is my emotional practice. It is lengthier because this is where I do the one thing that I love the most to do. By then, I already have my tea in hand. I have tea every morning. That's part of my physical practice. And because I'm talking a lot, I need my tea. So I take care of my emotional leg by journaling. So this is my journal. This is a journal that I've had for the past 2 months. And what I do is that I write 3 pages every morning, minimum 3 pages every morning of free writing. So what is free writing? Free writing is just pretty much writing down everything that comes to your mind, whether it's the dreams that you have while you were sleeping, whether it's something that happened to you the day before, whatever it is, I put it down there and I just free myself from those thoughts and those emotions. I just pour them in the pages. If you're not a person that likes to write, I highly encourage you to try it. It doesn't have to be 3 pages for you every day, but maybe a paragraph where you just state an intention for the day, or would you just write down, oh, I feel like crap today, I don't want to feel like this anymore, I declare that I don't want to feel like this anymore. But the most important component of my emotional practice is the last 3 paragraphs that I always write, or the last 3 lines that I write, and it is my gratitude practice. And this can be the only thing that you write down, and it's still gonna be a game changer for your day. So every morning I write down 3 things. So the 3 things that I'm grateful for, but they're very specific 3 things. So the first thing that I'm grateful for is something that happened to me the day before that I had no control over. So something that I did not cause in my life, but that was a blessing. So I am grateful for it. It can be even something that feels bad, but I am grateful for the lessons. The second thing is either one of 2 things. I am either grateful for something I did for myself, or grateful for something that happened in my marriage. I am very intentional in cultivating gratitude about my marriage because it allows me not to kill my husband when I'm not completely happy with him. And the third thing that I am grateful for is something that has not happened, but that I declare will happen no matter what. And that sets my mind into motion. I said, okay, so how is this going to happen? It allows me to see opportunities in my life. Yeah, Roxy, you have a man. You know how it is. So that is the third thing that I'm grateful for. It is something that has not happened, but I am sure is going to happen. So that is my emotional practice. It doesn't have to be yours. Let's say you only have 5 minutes of your day and there is a song that puts you in the right mood. That can be your emotional practice. That can be the way you do it. If you have somebody to talk to in the morning, your emotional practice can be taking out 5 minutes before the 2 of you leave to work, or before one of you leaves for work, and you talk about your feelings, or you set an intention for the day, or you set the goals for the day. The important part is that your emotions are taken care of at some rate in the morning, okay? Whether it is that you need to communicate how you feel, or whether it is that you need to set something in motion to feel a different way. Okay, so what I do a lot is that I write down whenever I'm not feeling 100%, I write down how I am committed to feel during the day, and I honor that feeling. So if I want to feel joyful even though I'm feeling like crap, when I don't sleep, for example, I feel like shit. So those days I declare that I'm going to feel joyful, and then I remind myself of that writing and I honor that feeling. So I search for things during my day that make me feel joy. So that can be your emotional practice, and it can be as long as a song, or as long as a 2-minute conversation with a loved one, or as long as an hour writing like I do it. It depends on your own schedule and what your vibe is, okay? So I don't want you to feel intimidated by 3 pages of writing. I highly recommend it, but you also want to know what you're doing. And if it's not something that vibes with you, then don't bother with it, okay? So the third component that I definitely take care of during the day is the during my morning, is the intellectual component. I read a lot. A lot of you that follow me know this. I read like there's no tomorrow, but I make sure that every morning, without failing, I read either 3 pages or a whole chapter of a book. This is the book that I'm reading right now. It's called Stream You, Step Up, Stand Out, Kick Ass. I am actually starting a book club in January, and this is the book that we're gonna read. It is fabulous. But the reason why I do this is because I need my brain to start being stimulated. I'm an entrepreneur. I am a person that is always constantly looking for growth. And if you're not that type of person, then start becoming that type of person, because that is the difference between where you are and where you want to be. But maybe you're not the type of person that reads. And I get that. I completely get it. Not everybody loves to read. Well, I don't get it because it's abnormal to me. But I understand that that's the case. So maybe you'll want to listen to a podcast for 5 minutes. Maybe you want to listen to a podcast on your way to work. So that way, it doesn't really need to happen before you leave the house, but it needs to be part of your morning before your day-to-day grind starts, okay? So maybe you listen to a podcast, maybe you listen to an audiobook on your way to work, maybe you watch a TED Talk before you go to work. Whatever it is, make sure, hi Charlie, make sure that in the morning you take care of that intellectual component. A new idea, maybe it's something completely out of your range of interest, but take care of that brain of yours, because it is where your ideas cultivate. It is where your thoughts start to grow. It is where your emotions ignite. I am sorry, people, for those of you that think that we hold our emotions in our hearts. That's not what it happens. Everything happens up here. So we need to keep our brains moving. Okay, we need to give it something to feed off of. So whether it's reading every morning, or whether it's listening to a podcast, listening to a book, whatever that is, it doesn't have to be an hour of your time. It can be 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. Read a phrase every morning that makes you think. That can take 30 seconds, and contemplate, or just sit and meditate for a second on that phrase. And maybe share it with somebody else. Make sure that your brain keeps moving, okay? So the last area of your morning routine, like I said, for some people it's the easiest, but for some people it's the hardest. And it is taking care of your physical body. I mentioned that you want to cultivate movement in your morning routine. And yes, you do want to cultivate movement, but it doesn't have to be going to CrossFit at 6 a.m. It doesn't have to be a 5:30 vinyasa yoga. It doesn't have to be something extreme. You just need to move, okay? So imagine this. You get out of bed, your feet touch the ground, and you just stretch, okay? And you just do a few stretches and then move on with your day. It is as simple as that. Before you go into the shower, 5 squats. Before you eat your breakfast, 10 push-ups. Whatever it is, keep your body moving. But there is a twofold situation when it comes to taking care of your body. It's not only about movement, it's also about nourishment. And this is why I have my tea every morning, and this is why I make sure I have a good breakfast every morning. There's a phrase in my country that's el mal comido no piensa, which means the person that hasn't eaten well can't think. And you need to think through your day. For those of you that skip breakfast, stop today, now. Go have breakfast if you haven't today. You need to do this every morning to be able to have the fuel to function. Okay? Stop starving yourself. There's no reason to do that. If you're not the type of person that can eat a full breakfast like I do, because I eat a lot, then just grab a fruit. Do something that will allow you to nourish your body. Take care of it. Let it be known that you love yourself through nourishment and movement. And once again, these things do not have to take an hour and a half of your time. My morning routine usually takes 2 to 3 hours because I have the time. But when I don't, I can condense it in 5 minutes. So how does that look like for me? When I do not have the time to go through my very special morning routine, I get out of bed, stretch right away. I do my gratitude prayer. I go to my journal and write my 3 gratitudes. I listen to music while I'm in the shower, and wherever it is that I need to head to, I put on an audiobook. And in 5 minutes, I took care of all 4 areas of my life that I needed to take care of. And what did I do? I just grabbed the food and left the house nourishing myself. Okay? So it is not that complicated. You don't have to be a quote-unquote morning person to really thrive through your morning. You don't even have to wake up too early to really do it. But whenever it is that you wake up, you want to set the tone for the rest of your day. And trust me, once you start doing this, you're gonna feel so weird when you don't. It is insane, okay? And one other thing, at first, you wanna be really consistent in what it is you wanna do. So if you just want to dedicate 5 minutes to your morning routine, you want to make sure that there's an order to it, something that you can really follow through with, because it's going to help you be consistent. And once the first 21 days, and yes, I'm talking about 3 weeks, once the first 3 weeks of your morning routine are nailed down, you are winning at life because your brain already needs it. Your brain has already made a practice of it. It is part of your habits, okay? So you want to make sure that you practice consistency. And if one day you don't do it, I invite you to start an overnight routine. So sometimes, let me tell you, I'm running late. I do run late. So I leave my house, but I make sure that during the day, I am conscious enough to take care of all 4 areas. If I am not able to feel comfortable with the decision and the routine that I just practiced, I make sure that during the day, I take care of every single area of my life, okay? So let's recap real quick. All morning routines, and actually all of our lives, needs to address and take care of at least 4 areas of our lives. Our physical area, our physical leg, because imagine that we are a 4-legged table. Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. During your morning, you can sneak all of these 4 things in a span of either 5 minutes to 3 hours, or even 5 hours, depending on how you do it. Sometimes, when it is nice out, I go out and walk and listen to a book, and that counts for 2. I'm taking care of my body, I'm giving myself movement, and I'm listening to something that's stimulating me intellectually. So you can cheat that way, or you can tweak it. Make sure that you are also flexible with yourself. Right now, maybe you heard me talk about writing 3 pages every morning. It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna come like a God-given gift for you if you've never done it before. So maybe start small. Start with the gratitudes, and then start with a page, and then go into 2, and then go into 3. Okay? Be gentle and flexible with yourself, because the morning routines are designed to make you win in your day, not to make you feel like shit. Okay? Does anybody have a question? I know there's 2 people that are watching right now. One of the things that I want to mention, I did say that there's going to be a book club coming up. I'm going to make a few announcements next week, because in January it's going to be virtual. We're going to meet online, so you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to be in Des Moines. You don't have to be in the DR. You can be wherever you want, and you can sign up for it. So that's going to be really fun. You might want to start looking for the book Stream U. Another thing is that if you're interested in having more guidance when it comes to creating your morning routine, I will also be uploading to my website a full guide on how to design a morning routine that works for you. So you will have this video to go to. I'm gonna upload it to my YouTube channel, and then there's also gonna be a guide that you can use to design your morning routine. Okay? So I'm thinking that is it for me. If anybody has a question, I am open to it. But if not, this baby is out because it's the Saturday before Christmas. So, well, Merry Christmas, everyone. This is probably one of the last lives of the year. And I hope you enjoyed the talk. Bye.